Welcome back to another episode of The Canon. I'm your host, Terry. Today I'm doing a Infinity War spoiler talk. It's finally here. Finally saw it twice, actually. Finally want to talk about spoilers. Wanted to wait, give a lot of people a chance to go see it. Like I said, my boy John Campy said we gotta wait for spoilers. But I'm glad I waited. I mean, I've said previously that I'm now on a 2-view rule, at least for the bigger movies, before I kind of give a judgment. In a grade. So I'm sticking to that. These movies are getting bigger and bigger, and you just need kind of 2 times at least, I think, to really get a good idea. So I'm glad I waited, but definitely ready to talk about some spoilers. So you've been warned. If you didn't see the movie, go see the movie and then come back for this, because we're going to get into some spoilers. So over the years, I have done reviews so many different ways, and sometimes depending on the movie. So for this movie, I think it's just best to go ahead, go negatives and positives. And I got a long list, to be honest with you, but of both. But I gotta just say, overall, I really like this movie, man. I mean, it's epic. And the thing I would like people to take away from that, especially if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why you're listening, but people say epic, and it is epic, but just like smaller movies, independent movies, or, contained movies can be good, and they don't have to be big or epic to be good. The same thing can be said, just because a movie is big doesn't automatically make it good. So epic doesn't equal good, and good doesn't equal epic. So, or, not epic doesn't equal bad. So the movie is epic, but that doesn't mean, I think some people hear that and it's just like, oh, everything's amazing. And that's not the case. It's huge. And I think there's inherent issues with it being huge, but from an enjoyment factor for me, super enjoyable. But yeah, let's just get into it. But I think, stand on that topic though. The biggest, trend I would say throughout this movie is that it never feels like one complete movie. It feels like a bunch of mini movies put together. And so when you have a cast of this size, you already know everybody's not going to get enough time. So we can sit here, talk about how you barely saw Captain America. You really only saw Hulk once. You barely saw Black Panther, one of the biggest ones coming off his movie, and all these things. And I'm not going to say those are negatives because the story didn't really call for it, even if that's what you wanted. But it's kind of bittersweet because I found myself really engrossed in these mini movies, and I want each one could be his own movie. Whether you're talking about the Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Tony Stark saga, whether you're talking about Thor and the Guardians saga, or Guardians with Iron Man and Doctor Strange saga, or you're talking about Cap, Vision, Scarlet Witch, and them with Wakanda saga. Or you're just talking about Thanos by himself with Gamora saga. So I felt like each one I wanted more of that movie. And so you felt kind of shortchanged. But like I said, it's bittersweet. It's cool that they can capture you so much in each one. But I would say for about 70% of the movie, it goes from one set to another set to another set. It doesn't really intertwine that much. It kind of just really sits and live in that set. And as you get towards the end of the movie, it kind of jumps back and forth between scenes a little more. But early for the first half of the movie, you're really like, man, this feels like a bunch of different movies. And I was just really getting into that. And now we went somewhere else. So, but like I said, bittersweet. It was a lot to handle and they kind of did it, but it's just inherent with the movie. The MCU thing that has been the whole MCU for me. I know some people don't care and some people love it, but there's people like me that don't like it, or some people that hate it. The jokes undercutting the tension is annoying. And I feel like, again, I said this before, my first reaction, there's moments in a movie, like a dark movie or, intense movie, where it's kind of, those jokes in the middle of battle. Cause it's like, you're going to laugh or you're going to go crazy. You just, and you can do that. And definitely when you're doing Guardians and when they first run into Thor and whatever, you can do that. And there's moments where it makes sense. There's just a handful of moments that it ruins a scene for me. And so people take it as like, oh, you just hate jokes. No, there's definitely great jokes in this movie, and there's definitely well-placed jokes. It's just the ones that are misplaced are the ones I don't like. I mean, that's every movie. And so this one particularly, if you want an example, the opening scene. It was so, I mean, they started off, you got the Marvel logo, but you got the distress call. You see the ship is in ruin. You see all these bodies. And you remember we just came off of Ragnarok. So we remember it was happy. It was laughter. You know, they all got saved from Hela. And then you cut to here and everybody's in ruin. So it's already intense. And then you continue the scene with Thanos just beating down the Hulk. And then he's getting ready to crush Thor's head and all that. It was just so intense. And it was like, we're establishing Thanos. But then you undercut it with these goofy jokes. Like, and it wasn't a lot, but it was just quick. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when they do that because they set the tone of the movie and I'm ready. I'm like, okay, I get it. And then Thor wants to crack a joke. Oh, you really are the worst brother. Like, that was so, it wasn't funny. It wasn't needed. And so I know these can be, or they are, subjective, excuse me. So each person could think what they want about each joke. But for me personally, it's jokes like that undercut serious scenes and kind of ruins the tension. And I don't like that. And so that's just inherent with the MCU. And I don't think it was a whole bunch in this movie, but it was just a few that I really could have did without. So yeah, let's just get into the meat of this. With Thanos, who I like Thanos. The Infinity Stones. This is two things. The Infinity Stones were inconsistent. / Thanos didn't really stay consistent with what he was doing. And I say that because if you watch the first Guardians, you see whole planets being destroyed by this Power Stone. You see Peter almost dying trying to hold one. You see people that evaporate trying to hold one. And just all this destruction from the Power Stone. And yet, you got Thanos just hitting people with the Power Stone power over and over throughout the movie, and they don't die. Now, I mean, not that they don't die, but he doesn't kill them. So, of course, people are going to say he can control it and he didn't want to kill him. Well, then that goes to the whole thing about Thanos, like, and it's so inconsistent because the whole thing was balanced in half. And so at the end of the day, I'm okay with saying Thanos wasn't just killing to be killing. He had a reason and he respected the battle and respected warriors. The same way when they said, you know, they were ready to jump in when he was fighting Hulk, but they're like, no, let him have his fun. He respects that battle. He about that one-on-one. He don't want the jumps. He don't want to jump nobody. So he respects it. So I can see, you know, you saying he didn't kill them because that's not what he was about. However, you get to the part with the dwarf at, whatever, I can't even pronounce that place, with the dying star and Peter Dinklage. And he said, that, you know, I'm blanking. Thanos promised that, you know, if you make this, he'll spare their lives. He made the gauntlet and then he killed everybody. He didn't kill half, he killed everybody except for the dwarf. And then you also had, the Thor ship. He didn't kill half, he killed everybody. And so it's inconsistent. Like sometimes, like if you in my way, you getting destroyed. My ultimate goal is to get half of the human or the existence, and you just part of the half that died. So if that's the case, if he really to do that, then why wouldn't he just kill the Avengers and whatever whenever he saw them? Like when he saw Doctor Strange, he needs the stone, and he didn't know other people were there, so they surprised him. So I can get with that. But then later on, when he's, you know, doing that slow motion walk through the Avengers to get Vision, he could have killed every last one of them easily and just didn't. And so that was inconsistent to me. And so if you want to say he can control the Power Stone, fine. But why doesn't he kill these people that's in his way? That doesn't make sense. And then the rest of the stones. So we never get to know what the Soul Stone does. And that's kind of, Also a bigger issue with this movie for me, it's just a lot of small examples of them not explaining things. They just glance over it, or they never show it. They just kind of speak on it later. But we never know what the Soul Stone does, and they make it seem so important. We never saw it. He had to sacrifice for it. We don't even know what it does. And then the Reality Stone. The Reality Stone, it was inconsistent. It was this convenient thing. It was like, okay, well, there was some times where it was like the reality that he creates can be physical. So you're talking about when Tony shot something at Thanos and he turned it into bats, and the bats physically interacted with Tony. So it's like, okay, it's not only a perception of reality, he also makes the reality change physically. So if that's the case, couldn't he just like make a new or make an Infinity Stone with the Reality Stone, or just completely like shut down the whole situation, or do like he said, reality could be what I want it to be. And I'm thinking it's just like the way it looks, because of course, like Gamora thought she killed Thanos, but that wasn't really him. So it's like he can change what it looks like, but there's times where it physically interacts with people. So it's like, can the Reality Stone just change perception, or can it actually change reality? So, and if it can change the physical reality, then why does he need to use any stone to fight anybody? He just changed the reality to whatever he wants. The same way he changed Drax and Mantis into like whatever he did. He could have just, whenever he rolled up to somebody, just changed them to statues or anything, or change them to animals. Do whatever you want. Like that, it was inconsistent to me. And yeah, the Space Stone, I don't know if they ever explain what it does. I guess is like, there was a part where the Hulkbuster, he made the Hulkbuster like phase through him, and then he made it like sink into the wall. I thought Space Stone was just more like teleporting. And I don't know exactly how that works. It's kind of like the stones just did what they wanted to do. And this just might be my ignorance, but in the movie, they didn't really do a great job of like telling you what each stone does, except the Time Stone, which makes sense, of course. Okay. Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker. Oh my God. So Stormbreaker looks stupid to me. I mean, to me, the whole having Groot's arm as the handle, no. And then it was so big and whatever, but it looks stupid to me, but that's the smallest part. The biggest part is that it just came out of nowhere. Again, glanced over. I mean, we all know what Stormbreaker is in the comics. It's the other hammer. But now all of a sudden it's the weapon of the gods that could kill Thanos. We saw Thanos use the Infinity Gauntlet, whatever stone or all the stones against the Stormbreaker, and it just cut through the Infinity Gauntlet and all his powers and hit Thanos. So we saw Thanos, you barely could scratch him with almost all the weapons you got. And then this thing just goes straight through his chest and pretty much could just kill him, cut his head off. And there's no real explanation of why. It's just like Stormbreaker, most powerful weapon. How is it the most powerful weapon when it was never made? And what is it made of that makes it the most powerful weapon? What is going, like, Thor's hammer, is made from like the metal from heart of a dying star, all that stuff. Yeah. But you see the like, inscription, I wouldn't say a curse, but like the incantation on it. Whoever's worthy, and then you heard, Odin put, the incantation on it. Like Stormbreaker didn't have nothing. They didn't explain nothing. It was just like, yeah, let's get Stormbreaker. It's the most powerful weapon, can kill Thanos. Okay, no explanation needed. That's just that. That really upset me. It just came out of nowhere. And then, okay, two things. Star-Lord messing up the plan. Really? Star-Lord. Like, that was so annoying. Star-Lord messed up the plan, and it just wasn't believable. Yes, there's flare-ups, and there's so many flare-ups throughout MCU and within this movie. Drax did it earlier, and you gonna turn around and do it. Yes, you're emotional and all that, but not only did you doing this would kill the whole world or give Thanos a chance to kill half the world, but B, my first thought would be, let's get this off his hands so I can turn back time or use it to bring her back. Wouldn't that be the first thing everybody else thinks of? Not, oh, let me see red and just knock him out while we're in the middle of trying to get the gauntlet. I mean, you're in space. You've seen all this magic and different stuff. Like, I would first think, like, let's use something to get her back, not let me just start punching Thanos. And we get it. He's cocky, but after the first meeting, he got to know that he can't beat Thanos. So, I don't know. It was too convenient. I mean, I'm not mad at Star-Lord. Like, everybody's like, oh, I'm mad at Star-Lord. Whatever. It's the writing. It wasn't consistent with the character. It's just like, I'm mad at the writing choice, to be honest. I think it could have been something else to spoil that plan or something, but I didn't like that. And then the second part, Doctor Strange. Plot hole. This is a plot. I think the Quill thing is like a complaint in writing, but this is an actual plot hole. And I might end up being wrong when we see Avengers 4, but Doctor Strange is sitting there like for half the fight against Thanos when he comes. And because at the end he's like, stop, spare his life, I'll give you the stone. So he's just sitting there. He's unbothered. Why did he never pull out the stone and just turn back time? That was the most easiest solution of this whole thing. Because if you watch Doctor Strange, you know what the time stone can do. Doctor Strange could have turned back time to before Quill messed up, like left it frozen, moved Quill out the way, or like restrained him, then let time play forward and they would have got the gauntlet off. There's no explanation. I'm sorry. You can't give me one. I think in the next Avengers, or, as we get there, we'll see that Doctor Strange had a plan and a reason to do this. But still, I don't even think they're going to be able to explain a better reason why he couldn't do it. It's not like they were fighting multiple people or he didn't have time. He was sitting there for half the fight. He could have just pulled the stone out and affected the whole situation without ever being touched. And you talk about Doctor Strange, it took like the highest level dark magic from Dormammu to break through that time stone spell. And Thanos was put to sleep by Mantis. So obviously he ain't powerful enough to break the time stone spell. So that will forever be a plot hole in this movie to me. And then the last thing I'll say, because it sounds like I'm super negative on the movie. I'm not. It's just I got a long list. I got a long list on both sides. The thing with Thanos is I don't feel like his love for Gamora felt realistic. I don't think they had enough time in this movie, or there was not enough build up in other movies to show that Thanos loved her. Because like she said, you don't love him. This isn't love. You just destroy and kill. What? Okay, we get it. You're telling us Thanos is more than a killer. He really believes he's right. He's introspective, all that stuff. But there's nothing you showed me, even in the scene when he took her, that shows he loved her. Like, there's nothing that he loved her to the point it would bring back the Soul Stone, A, to the point that B, he would just, every other scene, y'all don't understand how much I just lost today. And C, at the end, when he does it, he sees Gamora and he seems like he's regretful, is what it seems like. So that, if you want to use it as a plot device for him to get the stone, fine. But for him to be regretful and just his whole character is consumed by the loss of Gamora, it never sat with me properly. I like it. I like the idea, but I just didn't feel it throughout the movie that he loved Gamora. Because it's not like she never told him how he felt. It's not like someone's like, she hates you. And he's like, you're lying. No, she loves me. No, she told him to his face many times over years she hates him. And so I don't believe the love for Gamora was enough to get the stone, let alone make him regretful at what he did. So, I love it. A lot of stuff about Thanos, but that's the one thing that I thought didn't really make sense. But going to the positives, speaking of Thanos, you gotta start with Thanos. You got to start with Thanos. He was so good. Josh Brolin was so good. And I didn't mention this in the negative. CGI is very inconsistent throughout this movie, but Thanos is the best CGI. And he's so good to the point it makes the other CGI stand out as bad. Not all of it, just some, like the floating head thing with everybody with their helmets just dissolving now. It looks terrible. But anyway, Thanos, I think there's parts, and I'm not sure if they said this or not, it looks like some scenes there's an animatronic head that they actually built. Like when Thor is pushing Stormbreaker into him, and then when Mantis is putting him to sleep, it looks like the crap is real. Either that's the best CGI I ever saw, or they made an animatronic head and did it that way. Because when it's real close up on his head, it looks really good. And, but when you gotta see his whole body, it doesn't look as good. But anyways, Thanos just was good. You're talking about from the fighting style and the hands he put on Hulk to his whole mission. And I'm down with Team Thanos. I say it right now. He was right. I don't care. I mean, I don't care if you say the world, the Earth is overpopulated and the universe is probably overpopulated. And I'm joking partially, but his plan wasn't that crazy. People, not half, I would say, but people always talk about population control methods and whether or not the government actually does it right now. And so we're not talking about half, but Thanos trying to clear traffic up, man. I hate sitting in traffic. I can understand. Hey, flip the coin. If I'm one of the ones to go, okay. If not, it's going to be real nice driving home, getting home in under 20 minutes. I mean, it's going to be a whole lot of clear skies going on, less pollution. So it's like his plan ain't that crazy, but I liked it though. I liked he basically a rogue politician that's like he said, he the only one that had the will to do something about it. Cause I'm sure there's some politicians and people that if they could, they would wipe out half people on Earth too. So, and not just out of hate, but out of actual, I'm trying to make this better. And that's what makes him so compelling. So a lot of stuff with Thanos was cool. Like I said, I wish I was more invested in him loving Gamora and that side of him. But you could tell that there's still, a respect to him. As I said, he respects the fight. He ain't there he doesn't murder just because he loves murdering. He's not in love with death like in the comics. So, and then some other positives. I mean, the joke, like I said, the jokes that hit hard. I already did my top 5 scenes. You should check that out. But man, I love everything with the Guardians. Chris Pratt was on point this whole movie. Really funny. Thor was good. A lot of the stuff with the Guardians is some of the funniest moments, I think. And I just really enjoyed that whole banter too. The fights were so good. I think, as I said, the movie feeling like a bunch of different movies. Each movie had great fights. And I know the Russos was like it's 3 or 4, airport scenes in this movie or airport level scenes. I didn't say that. I don't think there was any airport level scenes. I think that's still bigger than anything in this movie, but there were great fights. There were great fights, and action pieces, throughout the whole thing that I really enjoyed. And you got to see the crossovers. And that's the biggest thing that makes this movie popular and fun. You got the crossovers that everybody wanted where you wanted to see these people get, I mean, you didn't get all the crossovers, but it's just cool to see these people interacting with each other, seeing people in the same room that you don't usually see with each other. And so that's always going to be cool. And that's always going to make this movie, hold a special place. So had a lot of fun with that. I love the Wakanda stuff. I mean, it wasn't that much of it, but I mean, coming off Black Panther, coming off Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you just like the continuation. And Wakanda was nice. I mean, I just liked seeing, it continued the real regalness of it. I mean, cause we don't really do the kings and, queens and kingdom stuff, in the world we live in. And so I think that was one of the real cool draws about Black Panther is you saw this real, kind of ritual lifestyle, like whether it was challenging for the mantle of king and all that. And I thought you saw a carryover where, you're leading your kingdom in the battle. The king is the fiercest warrior. He not sitting in the tower. He's standing in front. Cause you saw like once the aliens were trying to kill themselves and break through, they were just shooting at it. They were kind of standing in the back, Steve Rogers and Black Panther. But once they were like, okay, let them in and, we're going to run and fight, Black Panther came to the front. The king not sitting in the back watching his people die. He said, no, I'm leading the charge. And that was cool. I thought that was real regal. I just love that part. What else? I don't know, man. It was so many cool things. It was just enjoyable. It was real enjoyable. And I thought they did a great job of giving everybody some time. Everybody didn't get a lot of time, but I thought they did a good job of giving people time. And I heard one person say that everybody had kind of a cool intro. And I think for the most part, that's true. They kind of came in dramatic fashion, whether it was Cap and his crew, or, whether it was Black Panther and all that. It felt like, and I heard somebody say this too, and it's so true, it felt like the Defenders. And it kind of felt like the Crisis on Earth X crossover for the CW, where you kind of bounce to each person and it feels like their movie. Like you hear Cap say, oh, I know a place, or I know a guy, and you hear those drums and that go to Wakanda, and it's like, oh man, I'm back in Black Panther. Or when they go to space, you hear the 70 or the music come on, and then it says space, and then you like, oh man, I'm in Guardians. And so it was kind of cool, like just having all these flavors kind of meet up into one movie. I thought that was cool. And yeah, man, it was a lot. I thought the acting was great. I gotta point that out. I thought everybody that was a high level before came high level, and everybody that wasn't high level before stepped their game up at least a couple notches. Number one, I'm looking at Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, and she didn't have the accent as much, kind of disappeared, but I liked her. She showed real emotion when she, like, with Vision, and like, it seemed very, believable that a loved one was asking them to kill, and not to say Chris Pratt was bad. I think Star-Lord was more like not taking it serious that he would have to kill Gamora. But if you're looking at him having to kill Gamora versus Scarlet Witch having to kill Vision, Elizabeth Olsen blew it out the water. Absolutely. And I thought Chris Hemsworth was great. It was so difficult because they had part of the Ragnarok Thor, but they also had part of the dramatic Thor. And one of the best scenes that, it didn't make my top 5, but I love it, was when Rocket's talking to him and he's talking about, my mom was killed by an elf, best friend was stabbed through the heart, brother died, and he's laughing. I'm like, really? They're gonna make this a joke? Really? But then you saw he was laughing, trying to hold back tears. He was trying to be tough Thor, but eventually he couldn't just hold it back. He was really breaking down. He wasn't laughing. And so at the end of that, they're trying to go to this mission or not this mission. He was like, I'm going to fight Thanos. And, even though they snuck a joke in, like, Thanos hasn't fought me. Yes, he has. Well, he hasn't fought me twice. And they snuck a joke in, which was good. I just didn't want it at that moment. But even at the end of that, Rocket's just like, what if you're wrong? And Thor's just like, well, what else do I have to lose? And that hit me. I was like, wow, Chris Hemsworth delivered that line. And the number one, I mean, there's a lot of good performances in here, but the number one, Tom Holland. He so inhabits Peter Parker in that Spider-Man, especially when that mask is on. And it's not easy because you're not seeing his face. It's just that voiceover. It's all CGI. He inhabits that character. But at the end of the movie, when people start dying or fading away, I said it before, Tom Holland killed me. Tom Holland killed me. And I didn't mention this in my negatives. It's inherent of the movie. We all know. With the whole slate of movies and announcing that. And I've always said for a long time they need to stop that. Because it undercuts the drama of the movie. Definitely so in this movie. It undercuts it. Like, even though I was shocked T'Challa disappeared, I'm just like, yeah, right, he's coming back. And so it undercuts it. So while I'm watching it, I'm shocked that Disney chose to do it. But at the same time, like, yeah, okay, whatever. Now we know the next one, they're going to find a way to reverse everything. No real stakes. And the same goes for Spider-Man. More so, because Spider-Man has a movie already announced, Homecoming 2 or whatever. And we already know that's coming. So he's the number one we know isn't really dead. However, Tom Holland delivered that scene so hard. 2 times I saw it. 2 times I was overwhelmed. I've been telling my friend this. I'll own those tears. Those are the tears I own. I won't lie about those. He killed me. I mean, it was not just, I don't want to go, but then he hugs Tony and all that. And that was in one of my top 5 scenes. And as much as I don't like Iron Man's father relationship with Spider-Man, and they pretty much made it seem like he made Spider-Man, I don't like it. It worked to the culmination of this movie where it hit you because it was Tony's failure. It wasn't so much Tom Holland going and Peter Parker going. It was to see Tony watch his failure. The thing he dreaded so much. It was a metaphor. He dreaded so much losing the world because he couldn't protect it. But that was a metaphor. Spider-Man was the metaphor for the world. He saw something that he couldn't protect and had to watch it die because of his failure. And that hit me. That absolutely hit me. So, yeah, I'm messed up now. Well, but it was good. It was good. It was good. It was all good. The end credit scene, whatever. I liked it, but I like the scene. I like the end credit scene. The whole I like that. However, I'm just really hoping they don't make Captain Marvel come in here and be OP, because they tried to make Thor OP and he's close. And now I don't want to make them to make Miss Marvel. My bad, I call her Miss Marvel. I don't want her to come in and be OP and like she's just easily gonna beat Thanos, or she has the power to rip apart the gauntlet or blow up an Infinity Stone. I don't want any of that. It's cool that Scarlet Witch has the power to destroy it because she's part of, like, that's her power comes from it. That makes sense. But I don't want Miss Marvel coming in here with, that type of power. So it's cool that they like set her up, but I'm just worried about what they're going to do with Miss Marvel. But anyway, overall, really, really enjoyed the movie. Saw it twice. I saw Black Panther 10 times. I don't think I'm going to see this 10 times. It's a little longer, a little heavier. But I'm definitely going to see it at least 5 times. And yeah, I'm buying it. And of course I'm buying it. So I'm excited though. I'm excited. I think it was really well done, and I really enjoyed it. As far as a grade, I think my initial reaction, I gave it a B-. And while there are some plot holes, there's some inherent issues. The fun factor's up there. I jumped up pretty high. It's an A-. I'm gonna give it an A-. So that's my thoughts though. So I would love to hear what everybody else think. What'd you think of the movie? What were your favorite scenes? What's some things you might not have liked? What'd you think of the ending? All that good stuff. Go to the comment section, let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, get the convo started. And remember, if you heard it here, it's official canon.